Alright, The Commuter is a Liam Neeson action thriller mystery. Do I really need to say more? The Commuter stars Liam Neeson, and it is also directed by the same person that brought us a few other Liam Neeson action movies and action thrillers, such as Non-Stop, which this film feels the most like. He also directed Run All Night, and he directed Unknown. He also did The Shallows too, but that wasn't really a Liam Neeson action movie. That was a shark movie. In this film, Liam Neeson plays an insurance agent or life insurance agent or seller or whatever that actual terminology or that actual job is. He sells life insurance. Well, unfortunately for Liam Neeson's character towards the beginning of the film, he gets laid off and he doesn't have anything to fall back on, and he's got a son that's going to college and they have to pay off a lot of mortgages, and yeah, things aren't looking good for him. Well, on the train ride back home, he encounters a mysterious woman who sits next to him. She gives him an objective to find a mysterious person on the train that goes by Prim. She has no idea what this person might look like or what the bag might be, but knows that this person has stolen something important, something that her clients want, and she tells Liam Neeson that you need to find this Prim person, put a tracer on this person's bag, and we'll give you a whole lot of money. And that's it. Don't need to know the consequences of your actions and what this will cause. And so now Liam Neeson, who also used to be an ex-cop as well, which explains his detective work in this movie and his action sequences, how he's able to fight. It's not just because he's Liam Neeson. And now he is thrown in a crazy conspiracy and has until the last stop of the train to figure out what to do and how to deal with it. Now ultimately this film feels a lot like Non-Stop, and there's a lot of plot points that feels very similar to Non-Stop, especially to the point where it looks like Liam Neeson is going to get framed. However, it still holds its own, it's still its own thing, but ultimately I do like Non-Stop a lot better. But I do like me a good Liam Neeson action film, and for the most part, I enjoyed it, and I was kind of on the edge of my seat throughout most of the film. This is one of those mystery thrillers where all the pieces do come together, and if you watch it again, they all still make sense. At least for me. There's still a few things that are outlandish and over the top, as you see towards the end of the trailer with the whole train wreck looking thing, which looks pretty bad, and is probably the worst part of the movie, in my opinion. But for the most part, it is handled really well. The thriller aspect, the mystery aspect, the detective work, I did like in this movie, and I thought had some smarts and had some uniqueness to it. I thought all the cast, while despite them being pretty one-note characters, I thought all the cast did as best they could and did a really good job. There's quite a few good names in this movie. And ultimately, one-note characters aren't that big of a deal when it comes to these action, fast-paced thrillers, because for the most part, a lot of them have the same sort of cliched characters, generic characters, and one-note characters. Honestly, that didn't bother me that much, but it could bother a lot of others. There isn't a whole lot of action sequences in this movie, but when there is some, it is handled really well. I especially love the fight scene in the middle when Liam Neeson has to take out an assassin on the train, and the whole fight sequence, the camera work, the editing, them fighting, the choreography, even down to the end where it's an axe versus an axe, meaning a little axe versus a guitar axe. That's actually pretty well done. I thought that was really fun, and it's my favorite part of the movie. Now ultimately, when it comes to the bad things about this movie, I feel that some things get over the top and crazy and unbelievable, but ultimately most of that is okay. It's not to the point of just completely dumb and stupid, in my opinion. Some of the lines can get very cheesy and a little too on the nose. And the whole train wreck scene feels like it's the climax of the film, but then you realize there's a whole nother act to the film in this movie, and so it feels like it has this exciting moment and then slows down and peters out. But I still like that last act of the film. But ultimately, the technical aspects are some of the things that I found a little disappointing. For one, the CGI is not all that good. If you've seen the trailer and you see how the train wrecks look and how the train looks, it is really cartoony looking, in my opinion. But it's not bad enough to be like one of the worst things I've ever seen in a movie. I also am very mixed on the camera work, because the camera work at times are really damn amazing. There are some shots, especially the fight scene in the middle that I talked about where he fights an assassin. All the camera work and how it moves around in the train is really fantastic. But in other moments, some of the camera work is just plain ugly looking. Like how they shoot it and which angles they decide to take are very questionable, and it's very stylistic, but at the same time there are moments where I hate the camera work and there are moments where I love the camera work. So for the most part, I am completely mixed on the cinematography. And ultimately, I think they could have edited the beginning of the movie in a better way that didn't feel so jarring. It's one of those things where they try to have a montage of him day in, day in, day out, having the same kind of day but having slightly different conversations as he goes about his day. Like it's trying to show the beginning of his day throughout the year. And it just cuts and repeats and cuts and repeats and cuts and repeats, and in a way that is very jarring, and I found really there could have been a better way of doing this sequence, I feel. And so basically the beginning of the film, before the title sequence happens, I was really worried about the editing. But overall, I had a fun time. I enjoyed myself. I like Liam Neeson action movies, so ultimately most of them I like. I think the only one that I've kind of been disappointed with, or honestly the only one that I forget a lot, is Unknown. I don't remember anything from that movie except the basic plot. That's the only forgettable Liam Neeson action movie that I've seen. Then again, Taken 2 and Taken 3 weren't that good. Taken's probably my favorite though. So ultimately, I'm going to give The Commuter 3 stars. So, did you see The Commuter? What did you think about it? Go ahead and comment below. And if you haven't seen The Commuter, what is your favorite Liam Neeson action movie or thriller? Mine would either have to be Taken or The Grey. Those two are top-notch in my opinion. Very different Liam Neeson movies, but my two favorite of his action thriller type films. Alright, and if you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and check out my movie reviews or movie countdowns of previous years or of this year. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.